When you see Nigerian government, Ohanezendi Igbo politicians are muted, next they will place bounty. Know that you are going the right direction. Maybe if you continue in that direction, there will be so much explosion that will make them to lose everything they have gathered. So they don't like seeing people that go in the right direction of trying to divide Nigeria. But our prime minister is a very dangerous person in this struggle. They are weak, they are tired. Like, he confronts everyone, he tells you the truth, and he makes his point very clear. And when you start ranting and start distraction, he will not even look your way again. Very funny. Very, very serious. Yorubas are tired of this guy. Even the Fulanis are even tired. Ohanezendi, they are very tired. The exposition that happened in the UK during the tour to UK is what you are about to listen to. And please don't miss it. When you hear it, please help us to share, help us to like, and also help us to subscribe. I'll be right back.
We told them that the time has come. You will no longer force us with the barrel of the gun to remain in Nigeria. Nigeria can never ever defeat Biafra the second time. Mark my word. I said Nigeria will never defeat Biafra with the barrels of the gun. And this time around, the union can no longer stand by force, by the barrels of the gun.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
And the reason why this particular town hall meeting is taking place is so that Biafrans in those countries we are visiting today, we are in the United Kingdom, for them to understand that the freedom of Biafra is here.
it's here.
It does not matter whether you believe it or not, we will drag you into freedom. Because many of the people who are not supporting now are people that ordinarily in a working society, your right to make decisions will be deprived from you and legal guidance will be assigned to you. Many of you are brain dead, and that is a fact. If you cannot support your own freedom at this point, with what is going on in Nigeria, it means you are not capable, you are not mentally fit, you are not fit physically and otherwise to make decisions concerning your future. And that is exactly the way it is. So my people in the United Kingdom, I do not want to waste time before I make a very brief speech, because I can see that the spirit has overwhelmed everybody and the donation will continue. But I just want to make a little bit update, as that may be the only update I will give or the speech I will make today. What we do in the government is in the open. We are not hiding anything. We are not underground or doing it secretly that, we don't want to talk so that the enemies will not copy what we are doing. We are in the open. And for the past few days, what we decided to do was to show to the enemy little of our capability. A lot of people never believed that the kind of sophisticated weapon we have today will be in Biafra land. And let me tell you, this is the beginning. The reason why you see them crying for the very first time in the history of Nigeria at the National Assembly. The reason why you see them sharing flyers of Simon Ekpa. The reason you see those terrorists who have killed us unchallenged for many years crying today for the very first time is because of most of those things you see on social media. We just decided to show to those who are not aware of what is happening, because it is not being reported anywhere. You can never hear in the Nigerian news that 30 armored tanks were destroyed. You can't hear it. When we say it, a lot of people think it's a joke. You can't hear that helicopter and fighter jet is bombarding Biafra territory. You can't hear it in the news. When we announce it, a lot of people think, it is we are joking. So we decided that we will showcase some of the things that you have supported the government to be able to do in the defense, only defense. There are many things happening diplomatically. There are many things happening in many sectors of the government. There are many things going on internationally that we are yet to make public. We've engaged lobbyists, we've engaged international consultancy firms, we've engaged many things and many organizations that many people don't know about. It is part of this particular liberation phase. What we are trying to do is to make sure we put Biafra in the global stage of discussion. As soon as we continue the second stage of the self-referendum voting, a lot of things will be made public, and by then, things will begin to take shape. But the promise we are making to the Biafra people is that no terrorist will enter Biafra land and attack and go back to tell the story to those who send him. Nobody. Not those in uniform, not those in ragtag, not the non-state actors, not the state actors. We will engage them. It may not be immediately, but whoever that come to Biafra land to attack, believe me, his days is numbered. It is self-defense, the most aggressive one that the Biafra government have activated. Nigeria have killed us for ages. Nnamdi Kanu was broadcasting on Radio Biafra for many years, but because of criminals that surrounded him, they used the opportunity of Biafra, and when he called upon the people that want to fight for Biafra, many criminals embraced that call. After 8 years, he was crying for just 100 men. Nobody is talking about it anymore. There are millions of Biafrans following him, shouting, our leader, shouting Biafra, Biafra, and he was shouting 100 men. Today, you have seen the reason why he was shouting 100 men. Because almost all of them turned their back on Biafra. Almost all of them today are supporting Nigeria. Almost all of them today turn back to support those who killed them in Aba. The same people that were shouting, give us gun, we need bullet, we need gun, we need gun, today are shouting and supporting those who murdered them in Enugu. That was the reason Nnamdi Kanu was shouting for 100 men, because he couldn't see anybody. He saw that all of them are fake. When he make decision to stop election, these same people that call themselves DOS or IPOB today, which is IPOB Nigeria, there will be the same people go back to him to persuade him. After they have collected money from the governors, they will go back to him. You want to cancel election? You want to cancel election? You want to boycott election? You want them to tag us terrorists? If you boycott election, they will call you terrorists. I want to know, how can stopping election as a freedom fighting movement will make you become a terrorist? Is there any relationship between stopping election as a freedom fighting movement and terrorism? How does that amount to terrorism? When you just going to tell people to stay at home, how does that amount to terrorism? We did it. Did we take our word back? The answer is no. Did we stop the election? Yes, we did. Over 25 million people who registered for election, only 4 million people voted. 20-something million boycotted the election. Are we a terrorist? The answer is no. Are we the one who killed people in Lagos for election? Not us. It was the Nigeria state, the terrorist state of Nigeria, that committed act of terrorism during the election. And that is what we try to prevent our people from becoming a victim. And many who did not listen to us fall victim of this election, the past election. Those who were killed, did anybody remember them? The answer is no. Those who were butchered in Lagos, did anybody remember them? The answer is no. Did anybody compensate their family? No, the answer is no. Did anybody, those who lost their businesses in Lagos, that their businesses were burned to ashes, did anybody compensate them? The answer, till today, the answer is no. Now I ask you, who are the terrorists? But these people deceived Onyendu for many years. If not because of the glory of God or Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, Biafra would have lost trust in him. Because there is nothing in this world like when a man says something and doesn't stand on by it. There has been a lot of many times they declared boycott election. At the dying minute, they will call it because he was under pressure by the same people who was fighting Biafra with him. He never knew then that these people were all fake until the last minute when he said, I need 100 men. I cannot see any men here. He asked, which people am I going to go to war with? People don't understand. Those genuine people today may not understand what was going on. He was shouting for 100 men. Where there are millions of people, IPOB scattered all over the world, this man was shouting for 100 men. He couldn't find any 100 men among them. Today, I promised him that when he is coming out, he will have millions of Biafrans who are genuine. And he is coming out with the Biafra flag. Believe me, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will be released in a very historic manner. And what they want us to do is to stop Biafra struggle and begin to fight for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in place of the Biafra struggle. Because we understand this very well. We defeated that plan. Many of them today is being used. That's why you can see some people who call themselves Jewish or whatever, they will gather in their number, they will write script and give them, say, oh, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not here. Just go and say, don't support a referendum because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So they want you to make, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu the fight that we have to be fighting. And today, we are killing the bird. We are killing many birds with one stone. Do you understand the point? As they hold him, we have proven to them that holding him will never stop Biafra. We also prove to them that holding him will become the most expensive thing. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has become the most expensive commodity under the Nigeria state. The more they hold him, the more expensive it becomes. The more they detain him, the more we will make Nigeria feel the pain of the crime of international kidnapping. The more they hold Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in dungeon, the more Nigeria economy will go down. We will crash it, believe me. Because it is not just about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. It is about thousands of Biafrans who are now being detained, and many of them are dying on daily basis. This has happened for many years. I want you to understand what Nigeria is. For those who were supporting Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, only to turn back because he was kidnapped from Kenya. Abiola was killed by Nigeria. Because of the interest of other Nigerians, he was killed. Today, he is in the history. This idiot from Yoruba land, under Yoruba, who called himself the son of Fela. His father was killed. Today, he is part of the history of Nigeria. His grandmother was killed. They are now part of the history of Nigeria. The worst is that the prominent men in Yoruba land many of them have been murdered by Nigeria state. But whenever they have one small opportunity, they forget them. Even to the point that a son of a victim, the guy who's supposed to be the most angered person in Nigeria today, whose father was murdered by injection, is now calling those fighting what his father did cowards. I want people to understand that Nigeria have seen, in fact, they have not seen what is coming. God will use me to end Nigeria. Mark my word. God will use me to end Nigeria. For the interest of millions of people. The atrocity of Nigeria the prayers of many people and those that were killed by hunger, those children, their cry got to God. And God used many years to mold this time on Ekpa. I told them from the beginning, you see, I have come to end the journey of this Biafra struggle. This year, after Biafra declaration on the 2nd of December, we will know who is going to run away from the south, south, and southeast. I have no other update to give you, but I have come to assure those criminals and terrorists in Nigeria state that God will use me to end Nigeria. And the end of Nigeria have begun. When Nnamdi Kanu was preaching, he said Somali will be better than Nigeria. Are you not seeing it? The good news is that at the end, freedom will come. And the West continue to make mistake of allowing us in Africa to carry gun before they're listening to us. The mistake were done in Sudan, in Ethiopia, in Eritrea, in many places. Something that we can resolve amicably. Ordinary asking for freedom is a problem. The people will kill you for asking for your freedom. And if you don't defend yourself, your history will be gone. Will be wiped away from the surface of the earth. And today, we will not be wiped away by Nigeria. Because we have come to end it. Our forefathers paid the heaviest price of being in Nigeria, and we are not going to leave that particular price for our children unborn to pay. We will end it in this generation. So from the 2nd of December, the music will change. Nigeria don't know what is coming. We will show them that the people you killed in the 60s, we have never forgotten them. The scars is very fresh. The humiliation on our children, they were dying, and they saw all those stomach being swelled up, and they were dying in thousands on daily basis, up to 3 million. Nigeria is evil and must end. The only way to end it is when they come with AK-47, you bring your own AK-47. When they come with bomb, you bring your own bomb. It is fire for fire, gun for gun, until the world will listen to us. And that listening to us, they have ignored us for many years. This year will be the day, the year that the Biafra and our own cry will ring a bell to the highest level. Thank you, Biafrans in UK. Let me promise one thing. You know, any place I go, I always promise. And I want to fulfill that promise whenever. So the promise I'm making to the United Kingdom today, Biafrans in the United Kingdom, is that when I was in the US a few weeks ago, last week, I promised them that the satellite radio and all that will be, and the TV will be on air. And today we have the satellite TV, we have the satellite radio. And what I promise and what I'm still promising here is that we will start, now we have tested the radio and it is working in Ebonyi State. We are going to start from the coastal Biafra to the hinterland. We already have some transmitters in the hinterland. So Akwa Ibom State, the former Akwa Ibom State, in the next 2 weeks, will have Voice of Biafra satellite radio all over Akwa Ibom. That's my promise. In the next 2 weeks, we are going to have them in Akwa Ibom, and from there, spread to Iguacha, spread to Bayelsa, spread to all the coastal delta before we come to the hinterland. That is the promise I'm making to you, but it starts in the next 2 weeks from today. Thank you.
Thank you, our Prime Minister, His Excellency Ekpa Simon Njoku, Obatobie Agune Chamber. Our Prime Minister, you have spoken well. You have mentioned all the accolades, all the achievements that the Biafra Republic government in exile has achieved. In less than a year and a half, we have gone this far to make all these achievements. We thank you, we appreciate you, because we know it's not easy. Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. But I am glad, you have been able to assemble a highly reputable government, men of steel and caliber, and a formidable team in the cabinet. Fellow Biafrans, we have heard all what our Prime Minister have said. I want to implore us to start looking forward. It is time to look ahead. And as the saying goes, with the mantra we've always held, all eyes on the rising sun. We must keep the focus on Biafra. We must keep the discussion on Biafra. And we must anchor our hopes, aspirations towards the achievement of the restoration of Biafra. This brings to the theme of this discussion, which is the 2nd of December, being the day of our freedom. It is a D-Day, a day to remember, a day to work hard to make sure you are part of that number. My fellow Biafrans, the days of being scared or the days of having double doubts, doubting yourself, the doubting Thomases, those who are assuming that they still love Nigeria to an extent. You still believe in the politics. Some of you said you love Peter Obi. You say you believe in the government of that zoo called Nigeria. But you have seen what they have done to your people in Okwama. For the Biafrans who are doing the turnaround, I'm specifically speaking on those who have done a 180 degrees to turn around from the nonsense they call Nigeria, from the insult and, the low reputation that they put themselves through when they discussed the so-called election of that zoo. I hope and I'm glad that you have turned around and you have come back to the family fold. Because we must remain resolute, we must remain focused towards achieving the goals. This is the year for our freedom. My fellow Biafrans, we have come a long way. What beats my imagination is I wished that someone like Simon Ekpa was in this struggle, in this movement since 2012. Because when our leader, Nnamdi Kanu, came up with the IPOB movement, those around him, those he trusted, those he gave some responsibilities, those he entrusted with key positions, these same people were the ones that failed him. It's very, very sad that our leader, when he told us to pray the book of Psalms, we were praying from the first chapter to the last chapter of Psalms. While he was praying to get us this Biafra, at the same time, the politicians in that zoo republic, they were able to collude with those they call the so-called DOS, the Department of States, those criminals that betrayed our leader. They colluded with them. And the next thing we saw was our leader having his holiday in Kenya. It was cut short by the Fulani Caliphate sending men to Kenya to kidnap our leader. I can speak with authority that the day we saw the pictures of our leader, Nnamdi Kanu, in handcuffs, so many elders in the land of Biafra became sick. Some had heartache, and most of them, they gave up the ghost. It was a shock to many of us that those around our leader, those he has entrusted with key responsibilities, those he has given access to his private life, will be the same people to work with the caliphate. All in the guise of politics. For the love of money, you sold your leader, Nnamdi Kanu. Today, I am calling out on the DOS. I am calling out on the man they call Chinasanworu. Today, I want to speak to Chike Doziem with the advice I gave to him some few days ago. I want to let them to know that do not repeat the same mistake you made in June 2021. What you did to Nnamdi Kanu, I hope deep inside you will pray for forgiveness from God to forgive your sins. But I want to warn you all, those around the cipher of the DOS, what you did to Nnamdi Kanu will not be tolerated if you try the same nonsense with our Prime Minister, His Excellency Ekpa Simon Njoku. We have told you to carry on with what you are doing. Carry on with your IPOB Nigerian Limited. Carry on discussing election in Nigeria. Carry on discussing the need for people to come out and vote for politicians. Carry on and discussing your own so-called belief that the Biafrans should go and exercise their activities or whatever in the census of that so-called Nigeria. Last time I heard, the DOS members, they were asking the Biafrans to participate in the census coming up soon in that Zoo Republic. That tells you that these guys, they are working with the government of the zoo. They are working with the politicians of the zoo. And somehow they are trying to find out the number of Biafrans in that Nigeria so that their politicians can use that as a figure to campaign in the next forthcoming election. They have their eyes on 2027. While we, the Biafrans, we have our eyes on the 2nd of December, 2024. My fellow Biafrans, today, I just want to implore you to please remain focused, remain resolute. As you see what is happening in that Zoo Republic, you can see the different ways things are being dealt with in that republic. You can see the biasness in the activities of the politicians, in the activities of the government, and now in the activities of their military parastatals. Just the other day, we saw the activities that happened in Niger State, where some military men and their captain, they met their Waterloo in Niger State. The same thing that happened in Okwama, as they claim. But in this case, it happened in Niger State. And as you know, the community where this happened, the people are still living safe. The community in Niger State where the killing of the soldiers happened just this week, they are still having a good time, sleeping on their bed. None of them were chased to the bushes and the outskirts of Niger State. But when the same is being met in the land of Biafra, when a similar scenario took place in Okwama, till this day, this is the 6th week, our people are still in the bushes. They are still dying in the wild. They are still hungry. They are still looking for food because there is a food blockade in the community. As we speak, all the buildings in Okwama has been leveled to the ground. As we speak, it was just yesterday, the 6th week and counting, that the governor of Delta State was allowed to access Okwama. And from the video I saw, the footage I saw, Lord have mercy, all the buildings in Okwama was brought to the ground. The only building I saw standing was the one that the zoo military, they used as their temporal police checkpoint, and their torture house. That's the only building standing in Okoma as we speak. My fellow Biafrans, it is time for us to know that we are on our own. It is time for us to know that this fight, when it comes, when Biafra is declared, when this fight comes, it is for us to fight diligently and be ready for the task ahead. Today, I want to speak to my friends from the land of Oduduwa. I want to speak to the spokesperson of Chief Sunday Igboho, the good man they call Koiki Media. I want you to send this message to Chief Sunday Igboho. Let him know he needs to keep his head up. Let him know he must not be distracted by what is happening in the Yoruba nation. We saw what happened. We saw what they showed on the media. We know that is not the antics of the real Yoruba nation, the activists. What we saw was a grand design of the caliphate. What we saw was the genius of the man they call the Jagaban. A man you choose to say he is your brother. You say Tinubu is a Yoruba man. You have claimed him as your brother. But he betrayed the Yoruba nation movement when he came with that so-called charade of men in their own so-called military uniforms and then guns. And suddenly they have given a dog a bad name by claiming that the Yoruba nations were those responsible for that childish act in Oyo State. We know the real Yoruba nations. We know you guys are not responsible for something that's stupid, something that's childish. How can you go all out to take over a government house with just one dang gun? A pump action. Just one. It's not done. But that is the Jagaban that you all believe in. So today I want to speak to Koiki Media, the spokesman of Chief Sunday Igboho. I want to tell you to keep your head up and let your leader know that we know the game of the caliphate. Do not be destroyed. Do not feel dismay. Tell him to keep his head up. But he should expect more to happen because that is the game they've been playing to us, the Biafrans. Across the Biafra land, when you look back and forth, through and fro, you see the activities of the politicians. You see the activities of the DOS, the criminal DOS. But when they carry out all the atrocities, they blame it on Simon Ekpa. When they do the pillaging, the killing of the people in the land of Biafra, they call the name of Simon Ekpa. So today I'm speaking on the Yoruba nation. I say keep your head up, do not be distracted. We know the game of the caliphate. They cannot distract we, the Biafrans, with all the shenanigans happening in the land of Biafra. So I want to tell the Yorubas to keep their head up. If only Simon was with Nnamdi Kanu since 2012, by now we would have been in our land of Biafra. If only Nnamdi Kanu had a man like Simon Ekpa next to his side since the year 2012, by now I would have been in my land, in my own country. I would have been rendering my services to my people in the land of Biafra. But as the saying goes, they say sometimes delay is not denial. God always has a way when it feels like there is no way. Because the enemy, they assume that when they kidnap Nnamdi Kanu, then Biafra is dead. They assume that only if they could go all out to entrap our leader, get him in a secret location, zero down on him, pay those around him to set him up, They assumed kidnapping Nnamdi Kanu was the end of Biafra. They said if they could get the leader of IPOB, it means Biafra is dead. But we thank God we had a man. Oh my God, we had a disciple, a man loved by his master. A man who told Nnamdi Kanu, I am here to serve you. At a time when our leader Nnamdi Kanu was crying to God in the private and in the public, begging God for 100 men because he said he was tired of broadcasting. It was time to go and liberate his people, and he begged God for 100 men. At the same vein, this man came, this man who said he was a disciple to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. This man they call Simon Ekpa, a man all the way from Finland. He came and told our leader, I have heard your prayers in the public. You said you needed 100 men. I will make your job easier because in me, I am 50 in one. So while the DOS were planning with the caliphate, where they were planning with the so-called Southeast governors to kidnap our leader, they assumed that was the end of the movement. But as God will have it, as the good God will have it, the stone which the builders have rejected has become the cornerstone. Simon Ekpa, a guy who was rejected by the DOS, they came with different ways to blackmail him. They even tried to cajole our leader Nnamdi Kanu to let go Simon because they said Simon did not swear an oath. The man they called Prince Darlington, in the confidence of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, he told Nnamdi Kanu not to trust Simon Ekpa because he heard Simon Ekpa did not swear an oath of the DOS. But we thank God that the stone which the builders have rejected has now become the cornerstone. The man that the DOS have rejected is now the Prime Minister of the Biafra Republic government in exile. Mazi Simon Ekpa, you are the one ordained by God. You are the one destined to bring us Biafra in the absence of our leader, Oyendo Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. To the legal team of our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, we tell you, cry no more. You have done the best you can in a banana republic. You have done the best you can in a country where there is no rule of law. I say you have done the best possible in a place where elephants can fly. For those who say they love Nigeria, I hope you are enjoying the hardship you're going through. Because last time I checked, there is hunger in the land. People were crying, they were hungry. But the politicians and their children, they were enjoying the best of life abroad. But to the Biafrans still, entrapped in that contraption called Nigeria, this is your year to freedom. Rejoice, rejoice, rejoice.
And again, I say rejoice because our time has come for us to make name for ourselves. We are making this name for ourselves, not for any other thing. Just for our generation to hail us and say, yes, we fought and we won. Thank you for freedom. That is what they will tell us. But if we allow them to subjugate us, if we allow them to subdue us, if we cowardly close our eyes and hands off, gosh, we will not like what the children will tell us. Because their condition will be worse than what we are saying. And you know what we have already seen. How palatable is your condition in Nigeria? How palatable are the news you hear from Nigeria? So, things that will happen later will be worse if nothing is done now. Because we cannot continue in where we are and we expect something different. You can't be doing a particular thing and you expect a different result. No, a result comes from your work. If you don't work now, you will not expect anything different. You understand? So please, thank you very much, Biafrans. Help us to